So if you program hip thrusts, glute bridges, any of these floor bending exercises for your clients, but they're not feeling it where we want them to feel it, which is their glutes, then I'm gonna cover a few common faults and some fixes that you can look at with your client. So Carl is gonna be my model for the glute bridge today. Yeah, look at those glutes.
Power glutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to start with him demonstrating a fault of extending through the lower back. So if you have a client who feels their glute bridges or their hip thrusts in their low back, this is something that you could look for with them. So Carl, I'm going to have you take a lay down. And then what I'm going to have you demonstrate is instead of just extending through your hips, please also extend through your lower back. So guys, you can see this big arch that's happening in his low back there. We don't want that to happen. So Carl, reset for me. I'm gonna coach him on a couple things here. Number one is I'm gonna ask him to tuck his pelvis under before he raises his hips. And number two, I'm gonna have him brace his core and then extend his hips up. And we've got a nice straight line there. He's extended through the hips, but his spine is nice and neutral there. Carl, where do you feel it?
In the power glutes.
In the power glutes. All right, you can relax. So number two, our next fault is if your client feels this in their hamstrings, but they're not feeling it in their glutes. And where we're gonna look for this is their foot position. So often if the client has their feet way too far away, they're gonna complain of this issue. So Carl, let's see a hamstring dominant hip thrust or glute bridge. Where do you feel it?
The power hammies.
The power hammies, relax. All I'm gonna do is ask him
Got a little cramp a little bit.
That's no good. I'm gonna have him bring his feet in a little so that when he's in his top position, he has a nice vertical shin and his legs aren't like stretched out away from him. So Carl, let's see that again. Where do you feel it?
Power glutes.
Power glutes, awesome, and relax. Guys, one final tip that you can look for is actually your client's head position on their glute bridge. And what we want them to do is have a tuck of their chin versus being extended back if they're not feeling it in their glutes. That is because when they have that chin tucked, it's going to lengthen or tighten the posterior chain and get a little bit more tension in those glutes. So Carl, let's try that. Tuck your chin. Where do you feel it?
Still the power glutes.
Still the power glutes, perfect. So guys, those are 3 common faults and some fixes you can look for with your clients when they are doing a glute bridge, a hip thrust with their shoulders elevated, any of those exercises there to make sure that they're feeling it in their glutes and not in other places where we don't want them to.